Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be doing a quarter one goals check-in. If you watched my goals video back in December, you will know some of my goals as well as the fact that I wanted to do sort of like quarterly check-ins. I was also playing around with the idea of doing quarterly goals, and you'll see sort of how that played out in the first quarter of this year, and we'll see how it goes for the rest of the year. So I didn't make a lot of reading goals for myself, and I did that on purpose because I wanted my reading to feel less constricted, and I kind of just wanted to focus on very specific things. And I really like the fact that I did that. Like, I have goals and I have things I'm trying to achieve, but because there's only like three of them, I'm actually able to achieve them as opposed to getting stressed out that I'm not achieving any of them. So for any of you who are feeling stressed out about your reading goals, I already recommend just narrow it down to like one or two. It'll make your life so much better. So the first reading goal that I have is one that you've heard me talk about multiple times here, and that is the Read Harder Challenge. I will have a link down below to the Book Riot website so you guys can check out the Read Harder Challenge in case you haven't heard of it before. But basically it's a list of 24 tasks, and I have been participating in this to some degree since it started, which has been like 3 or 4 years now. So one of the things I realized last year is that I always have a lot of like passion and gutso for the Read Harder Challenge at the beginning of the year, and then I really lose steam in the second half of the year. This isn't something I said in my goals video, but it's something I realized basically in January, that I should just try to finish the Read Harder Challenge before the halfway point of this year. And then my stretch goal was to try to complete it in the first quarter of the year. Now, obviously I didn't finish it yet in the first quarter of this year. I still have 7 more challenges left to complete, but I am very much on track to finish it in the first half of the year, and honestly, I'm pushing myself to try to finish it by May. I don't think I can finish it all in April. Maybe I can. Who knows what this month will look like. It's definitely realistic to finish it before June because it's only 7 books. But really, I'm going to try to finish as many as I can this month and then, try to finish the rest next month. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the books that I've read for the Read Harder Challenge in this video. Once I complete it, I will do a whole video about the Read Harder Challenge and sort of like my approach with tackling it and things like that. But one of the really good things about doing the Read Harder Challenge so many times for the past couple of years is, again, I've just learned my own patterns and tastes, and I've realized that I need to cram in as many of those books as possible in January and February, and then just sort of like pull it back a little bit in March, April, May, and be done by June. Because honestly, I can already tell like I'm losing steam a little bit, especially compared to January and February, but I'm also okay with it because I only have 7 left. So like I said, I'm not going to go through all the challenges that I've completed so far, but since I only have 7 left, I will talk about the ones really quickly that I have left. The first one is to read a classic of genre fiction, and for that one I'm reading Kindred by Octavia Butler. I've already started this one and I plan on finishing it really soon. I'm loving it, and I will talk about this in my wrap-ups like I usually do. I also have read a comic written or illustrated by a person of color. I started to read Monstrous for this one, but then I just really was not feeling it, so I decided to put it down. And then I'm gonna go see Bowie, who wrote The Way Things Are, I believe. I'll put a cover over here on the screen at the end of this month, and I'm gonna be getting a copy of the book then as well, so I will read that one for this challenge. I also have a read a book of colonial or post-colonial literature. And for this one, I picked up Everfair by Nisi Shawl for this challenge. But again, I haven't read it yet, so there's a chance it won't really work for me and I'll have to find something else, but this is an option. I also have to read a science fiction book with a female protagonist written by a woman, and for this one I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do yet. I picked up like 4 different sci-fi books from the library because sci-fi is one of those genres I don't read a lot of, so it's always really hard for me to tell which books are going to work for me. Now, I can technically put Kindred in this box if I need to and read another classic of genre because that's an easier challenge for me, but the one I do want to pick up is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, just because this is the one everyone loves. So I have a strong feeling that even if I don't adore it the way other people do, I'll at least enjoy it enough to be able to get through it. And also, this is sort of like softer science fiction from what I know. Feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm incorrect on that. And that's generally what I gravitate towards when it comes to science fiction. Like, the really heavy science fiction stuff just goes straight over my head. Then I have read an essay anthology, and when I was at Half Price Books recently, I picked up Scratch, Writers, Money, and the Art of Making a Living, which is edited by Manjula Martin. This is a collection of essays by a bunch of different writers, and I'm talking very openly and honestly about money and the way that they get paid, or the problems that they've had getting paid, and how all of that works. Next, I have read a book with a female protagonist who's over the age of 60, and for this one I picked up The Night Guest by Fiona McFarland. This is sort of like a mystery suspense sort of book where you are following this older woman who lives on her own, and then one day this stranger named Frida shows up at her door and tells her that she is like a care worker that was sent by the government, and so she just like lets her in. And so it's about the main character sort of what seems like potentially like losing her mind. She thinks there's a tiger on the prowl out to get her, and also, you know, there's all of these questionable things about, is Frida who she says she is, or is she manipulating this older woman, things like that. So it sounds super interesting and sounds like it could be something really like suspenseful, creepy sort of thing. And the final challenge is the read a book that was assigned to you that you either hated or never finished. And the problem I'm having with this challenge is simply the fact that I barely remember the books that I was assigned to read when I was in school, outside of the ones that I really, really loved. And the only ones I can think of that I did not enjoy were The Scarlet Letter and A Tale of Two Cities. Now, I do not like Dickens. I've tried Dickens multiple times. I've tried books that people have described as Dickensian in nature, and I've also not liked those. So I'm not going to read A Tale of Two Cities. So I think I'm going to end up reading The Scarlet Letter, and I am very much not looking forward to that experience. I mean, I think it's just like leftover discomfort from reading it in high school, and I don't even know completely why I did not like it when I was in high school. So there's a very good chance I will love this book when I read it now, but for some reason, that challenge. Alright, I just spent a lot of time talking about the Read Harder challenge, so let's move on to the final two goals that I have for the year. The next one is to read Pulitzer Prize winning nonfiction books. In the video, I talk about wanting to read one of those per month, and I was specifically talking about like the general nonfiction list. That's the one I have in my spreadsheet that I'm sort of keeping track of, but then soon after that, I realized there's a separate nonfiction list for history and a separate one for biography. At the beginning of the year, I read When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi, and that one won the Memoir Pulitzer Prize, I believe. I think that's what it's called, or it's like Memoir Autobiography or Memoir Autobiography Biography, something along those lines. So I'm counting that for my January one, although I did kind of want to just work my way through the general nonfiction list. So in February, I read Evicted, and then in March, I read The Sixth Extinction, which are both from the general nonfiction list. And I picked both of those up specifically because they both worked for the Read Harder challenge as well. And so the next one I have is In a Different Key, The Story of Autism by John Donovan and Karen Zucker. This one was a nominee for the Pulitzer Prize in 2017. So I am going through the winner as well as the two nominees for every year. So this one is quite the chunker. It's over 600 pages like total, but I think without the notes and bibliography and all of that stuff, it's around like 550-ish. So I need to get started on this one so that way I can make sure to finish it before the end of the month. Because the other thing I know about nonfiction is that I can't like rush myself with nonfiction. I have to read a little bit at a time, so that way I'm actually absorbing the story and the information that's in there. I don't want to just like rush through these books, and especially one like this. Like, I know so little about autism, so I think that this one will be a really, really interesting read for me. All right, and then my final goal was sort of like a twofold goal. The first part of it is to read like more big books in general, and I feel like I have been doing that. And even if I'm not necessarily picking up like super huge books all the time, I feel like I'm picking up a lot of like denser books, which also makes me happy. Like even right now, as I'm recording this, I'm currently in the middle of Blindness by Jose Saramago, and this book is so good, but it's so dense, and I feel like I've been reading this one forever. I mean, I think it's been like a week, so it hasn't been that long, but compared to how I've been flying through some other books, this one definitely feels like a significant slowdown, and honestly, I'm 100% okay with that. But yeah, I've been like making sure I have big book options, and I do crave big books, and I do crave denser books sometimes, so it's kind of like naturally working into the way that my reading is going, which is nice. And then the other big goal that I have for the year is to read the one big book in August. In my goal video, I was slightly hesitant about whether or not I was going to do it, but I decided earlier this year that I was 100% going to still do it because I think it's so much fun to do, even if I'm the only one who ends up doing it, but I know I won't be because a couple of other people have already said they're going to do it with me. So we're going to be reading The Three Musketeers in August. I found this edition at Half Price Books, and I was so excited because this is the edition I was wanting because it has like these beautiful illustrations from Tom Gould. I love his illustration style. It's so much fun. So yes, this is coming in August, and I will be doing a whole video prior to that point talking about this and giving you sort of like my general reading plan and how this is all going to go down. So this is sort of just like a forewarning, so you can keep your eye out for a copy of this if you plan on buying one, or if you just want to get it from your library, you can, you know, get on the hold list or whatever it is you do for these read-alongs. So yes, Three Musketeers coming in August. All right, that is everything I have for you guys. I'm really enjoying sort of like this quarterly breakdown of my goals. First quarter for me feels like it was all about the Read Harder Challenge. And obviously like second quarter is going to be very heavily in the Read Harder Challenge, but I feel like I'm going to finish that off early enough that I'll be able to focus on something else. And I think for me, quarter two is going to be like finish off the Read Harder Challenge, make sure I'm reading these nonfiction books, and then also like just picking up these bigger books. Like I have a couple of other bigger books that I've picked up recently, and I feel like I've been saving them for after the Read Harder Challenge is over because I just kind of want to get that one off my plate, so to speak. So yeah, leave a comment down below letting me know how you guys are doing on your challenges, especially if you're doing the Read Harder Challenge too. Let me know how your progress is going. You don't have to be as far along as I am. You have to have read 2 books a month in order to be on track. So right now you should have, what is that, 6 books? Almost 7 books done for the year. So as long as you have that many done, you're good to go. Or if you have any comments about any of the books I talked about, or any questions about any of my challenges or anything along those lines, definitely feel free to leave that down in the comments as well. Otherwise, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.